It's Tuesday's market SITREP here at Top Gun Options. My name is Matthew Buckley. My call sign is Wiz, and we just knocked out an awesome joint weekly options and primary live trade brief. We had a lot of ground to cover, so make sure if you remember, you watch the replay because we talked about Goldman Sachs and Amazon legged into some iron condors. And we also talked about what's going on with the S&P 500, which we have absolutely nailed recently, and also with the events in Korea there. Real quickly, though, folks, if you we're doing a full throttle launch coming up in September, actually about a month, a little under a month from now. For my current members, as I said in the brief, this will be the last opportunity for you to get the lifetime membership at its current price. Come September, the price is going up to $15,000 for a lifetime membership, and you will not be grandfathered in. So this is your last warning. Head to go.topgunoptions.com/lifetime so you can lock in your grandfathered rate. If you email us after the September launch and say, hey, can I get that old rate? I'm going to publicly shame you, okay? And I'm not joking. So, folks, that's it. This is a great deal for the folks. We had a lot of people that took the offer last time I did it. But with a lot of the annual memberships coming up for renewal here in August, two people wrote and said, hey, can we get in below before you raise it to 15? And I said yes. So I'm opening that up one last time at the reduced rate of 12.5 before we raise it to 15. Okay, let's brief here, guys. What North Korea crisis, right? Actually, the dear leader came out and said, we're not going to attack Guam right now. Let's everybody take a break. And for all the liberal idiots last week who ripped Trump apart for how dare he use the language fire and fury. Folks, this guy's got syphilis, gonorrhea, whatever the hell else is floating down here in South Florida. He's got it. I think the Sun said he's got gout or something like that. The dude's mental. So you have to talk to somebody who's mental, who uses words like he does, to make them understand. So I'm still waiting for all the apologies from the liberals last week who ripped Trump a new one for saying, hey, we're going to rain fire and fury upon you like you've never seen. That worked. But everybody's too busy giving him grief about condemning the KKK and Nazis, which he did like 3 times, and it's still not enough. But, folks, it's risk back on, folks. We called this. I said last week, 2 weeks ago, I put on a bullish double vertical in a free webinar. And then last week, we put on a bearish double vertical. At the height of this selling last Thursday, I said what? Folks, this isn't the Fred Sanford. This isn't the grab your chest. This is the big one, Elizabeth. I said we're going to either bounce or go through the 50-day, and then we're going to have a rip your face off rally, just like we did on every one of these. And that's what we're going to do, folks. So, we run a little bit of a danger, and we talked in the primary live trade brief about getting finally bearish on FXI. I mean, God, man, a broken clock strikes twice a day. I was a little early on getting bearish on FXI, and of course, the E-Trade platform is just knocking it out of the park today. We had some issues with this in the brief today, man. Some latency, some symbols. They really need to get their shit together. But look at this, guys. Right around here, a couple weeks ago, I said, because Trump started poking around the sanctions, right? The intellectual property, we're going to fire some shots, and trade war, huge trade war. But the FXI still went up. Now it's rolling over here, folks. So FXI, we're going to have to keep an eye on. But I don't think it's going to roll over super hard. I think the president's going to give China one last final chance for these big sanctions that China actually supported to bite on. But if you don't think that the Chinese are talking out of both sides of their mouth, you're nuts. They're obviously trying to tell the world and Trump that, oh, yeah, we're trying our best. He's not listening. And they're also trying to tell North Korea, like, don't worry about it, dude. Why? They do not want a reunited, speaking of reunited, and it feels so good, today is like Korea Unification Day. We thought, and the intelligence services said that we haven't seen Kareem Sum-Young-Guy in like 2 weeks. When he goes underground like this, it usually results in a missile launch. They thought maybe today would be a launch because they usually launch a bottle rocket on Reunification Day just to let them know that they don't want to reunify. They didn't today, which should be extremely bullish for everybody. So I think China, I don't know. Trump's given China a little bit more leash. I think it's October, guys. Me and my spirit animal, my soul partner here, Jeffrey Gunlock, I think October is going to be extremely volatile. I don't think anything's going to happen before October shooting-wise, but if we are going to shoot, it's going to be in October. And, oh, by the way, we have a debt ceiling debate, as if a nuclear war is less important than that. So, you know, Trump is starting to sit on Russia a little bit with sanctions. He's starting to sit on China a little bit with trade, trying to tell these guys, hey, go sit on your retarded nephew that's down in the basement there. But like I said, China doesn't want a reunited Korea. They don't want capitalism that close to their doorstep. It's bad enough they have to deal with Hong Kong as a, what do they call it, a SAR, special access region or something like that. So, you know, the cooling tensions are lifting stocks. Again, we sold a bearish double vertical on volatility at the height of the selling here. This was not panic selling, folks. Well, panic selling, you're going to know when it's panic selling, and we nailed it last week, folks. This was not panic selling. So good-looking stuff here. Remember last Wednesday, Goldman was amazed by the market's non-reaction to the Korean crisis. I wasn't, because the day after Goldman said they were amazed to the non-reaction, what happened? We kind of had this reaction. This wasn't a North Korea reaction last week, guys. This was profit-taking. This was the Korea reaction the next day. Dow down 120. I'm like, yeah. That was me saying the market knows what I know. We're not going to be shooting. This was an excuse to sell off and take profits, and also an excuse to BTFD, which is to buy the frigging dip. Here's a canary in the coal mine. I covered last week, or maybe the week before, one of the canaries in the coal mine is the transport theory, that the financials and the transports starting to roll over a little bit means bad things might be a-coming, and the transports have been rolling over. Look at this. This isn't a canary in the coal mine, folks. This is a big bird. U.S. stock buybacks in biggest slides since the financial crisis. Remember, the number one buyer of the S&P 500 for the past year and a half, 2 years has been the S&P 500. It hasn't been the Fed. It hasn't been the Chinese. It hasn't been you with your broken E-Trade platform. It's been companies buying back their stock. So if you look at the canary in the coal mine of the transports rolling over, and now stock buybacks starting to throttle back, I don't know, man. Old Yeller's knees are starting to hurt because there might be a storm coming. But behind the scenes, guys, we see bullish stuff like this keeping the market higher. Steve Mnuchin had dinner with the guy, kind of a weirdo. Behind the scenes, there's still a lot of bullish stuff. We had some great retail sales in July. Biggest jump since 2016. A lot of auto incentives helped that out. But, guys, getting rid of the Franken-Dodd regulation, or at least gutting a lot of it, is freeing up behind the scenes Wall Street folks to go back to being Wall Street folks. Hopefully not setting us up for another 2008 tsunami, but enough to be bullish. So there are a lot of green shoots out there, guys. And, you know, there are green shoots. But for every green shoot, man, you got to be hedged out to October. I told my members today, I'm not looking to let's ride that bearish double vertical as vol implodes here and print money on VXX. A lot of good responses from folks in the chat box today. I mean, hell, one of my Commanding Officers Club clients is up over 10 grand on his VXX trade in a week. Hint, hint. Time to get your lifetime membership, but I digress. So, and one last final thing, folks. This guy's a coward. The CEO of Merck. I'd be furious if I was a Merck shareholder. He resigned yesterday from the President's Manufacturing Council as a matter of personal conscience because the president didn't reject expressions of hatred, bigotry, and group supremacy. That tells me that you're an idiot, sir, because when he spoke like 3 times in a row, I heard him reject all of these things. And by the way, dude, in case you didn't know, as the CEO, you have a fiduciary responsibility to your shareholders. I don't give a shit what your personal conscience says. I care what your professional conscience says. And guess what? A bunch of other people came out yesterday and said they weren't resigning. You lose your voice when you're a liberal crybaby and take your marbles and you run your you got triggered and you run your safe space and hide. You just did a huge disservice for Merck shareholders. You don't have a voice when you leave the table and run and hide. If anything, I would have released a statement that said, I'm going to keep my seat on the table and I'm going to stand on it for my shareholders. Again, dude, I don't give a shit as what your personal conscience is. You have a fiduciary duty as the skipper of Merck to look out for my best interest, not yours. If I was the chairman of the board, I would have fired this guy in the blink of an eye. I would short Merck stock. There's your whiz rant for the day. Okay, again, members, give support a call, 754-300-1084 if you want to grab your lifetime slot before the price increase in under a month, guys. I'd take some of those profits from one of our JP Morgan trades was up like over 30 grand. It's a Jan 18 trade. I mean, in just single trades with some of our members, you guys could be locking in your lifetime membership. So don't delay because the price is going to go up. That is a given. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge, and God bless. I'll talk to you guys for Wednesday's market SITREP tomorrow.